and show, then you need to address all these issues that I'm talking about.
Yes.
Not just fuck the police.
It's not
because
just
that's the message that's being put out there.
That's what the media doing. They don't show the good. The media don't show the good that we do.
To change that.
What I'm saying is, the media don't show the good that we doing in here.
You have the agency to change that. You are not powerless. They want you to think you're powerless. You're like
the cops are like
no, the people in charge. So
but the cops are in charge. They're the ones in power.
Cops are following
They're
orders.
enforcing unjust laws. I have
the
cops
unjust laws that are by the politicians that you're electing. That's
What was the other day?
black
Hold
kids.
on. What was the other day where they told us all to get out the street?
If they know law,
Okay, we got out the street, right?
So like if the repeal
behind the barricade on the sidewalk. Why did they come over there? We did what they said. Pushing the barricade and start attacking everybody. What was that all about? We obliged by what they told. It's been all on the news and everything. That's crazy. They told us to get out the street and we did what they said. They still constantly attacked us.
That's the truth, though. Why?
It's not possible that laws are happening. Whose fault it is the politicians that we elect.
I completely agree 100% that we
And
need to
so
hold
instead of saying,
politicians accountable.
this person's Republican, this person's Democrat, so therefore I can only vote for them, we need to say, hey, what are their policies?
You'll find that most of the people back there don't identify as Democrats whatsoever.
I'm a libertarian. I just believe in love, peace, be a good person.
Right.
But if we're going to look at our politicians in New York City, we have to get rid of this dogmatic stance where it's, I'm only Democrat, I'm only
Absolutely,
Republican.
1000%.
We need to look at the candidate and what they're offering for us all together.
Yes,
that's the problem we have. We're electing people that don't have our interests at heart, and then in turn we're fighting against each other.
you are echoing the same sentiments that we hear at these rallies. That's what
So then come out and say this, and you know what? You will get more people to come together, because it shouldn't be about sides. It should be about all of us coming together to overthrow that bullshit.
That's what this is about.
Then come out and say
We have
that.
a microphone. You can even stand on that
I'm
park over there and
telling you to
listen.
come out and say it to everyone else. Don't
But
just
all
talk
of our
to me.
leaders that go on
Not
TV,
everyone
they're on
else is going to
microphones
come to
over
this.
there.
Not everyone like me is going to come to this corner. Not everyone is going to go in that park. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to go in there.
I understand. That has to be
But if
accessible
you
for everyone.
want the message to be sent out, if you want people to hear you and understand you, just like you guys explained to me, get out there, get the media on your side and have that message put out there.
The thing is that the media will only show what's sensationalized.
Exactly.
So you have your I see you have an InfoWars shirt on. So you choose the media that you take your information.
I listen to everybody.
But we have-
I read and I use my own
So we
bias.
have our own media organizations like Left Voice, like Red Bloom Communist Collective. These people release videos and statements based on what our demands are and what we want. And violence in our communities is very important to get rid of. But the way to do that is to invest in the communities so that children have something to do. When kids sit in these broke-ass communities with idle hands, they're going to get in trouble.
Okay, but we also, in investing in our communities, we have to address the culture.
1000%.
And that's something no one's willing to address, because when we address the culture, now it comes down to personal responsibility. As a black woman, no one's holding me back anything in this world. No one. But I grew up in a culture where being responsible is shunned. Education is shunned. Being a gangster is cool. Being a baby mama is cool. We have lost our way as a community, and in turn, we're killing each other.
I think
and
that
we need to start addressing that.
I think that when you say that we need to make these things accessible to everyone, we have to include the uneducated, the baby mamas, the people who don't have access, who likely didn't get funding in their schools, so they wouldn't end up that way.
It's not just about funding, though. I'm black, and I'm going to keep saying it because I'm telling you about my experience. I went to a talented and gifted school in New York City. I had other black kids tell me I wasn't black enough because I spoke. So no amount of funding is ever going to change that unless we start ostracizing people that devalue education. We have to say, you know what, fuck you.
That starts with politicians, because they're the ones underfunding it the most.
It starts at home.
Education being taught.
Yeah, it has to do with the access to the education.
The difference between what we're taught in public and private. My son
has autism. He's in high school. He's 16. And I totally hear you, and I totally hear you. But you know something? There's a fundamental disregard for a lot of students of color because there's a lot of serious behavior problems. It's real serious. The teachers do not take the time to correct kids. They don't take the time to educate them. I can't speak to whether it should come from home because that's a whole other issue that I'm not willing to get into right now.
But that's the problem. Sorry, not to
I
cut you off.
can't do it. No, I know what you're
No
saying.
one's willing to ever get into
You're right.
it and round and
You're
round. we go.
absolutely right.
It's not our place as white
But
people
you
to do
can't-
that. It is what we can do is amplify the concerns of black women and say, you know what, this is not, this black woman is saying this isn't happening. So how can we support her ideas? How can we get behind that?
That's all we want.
That's what we do here. That is what is happening inside of there. That's exactly what's happening. I actually just passed by a conversation where a man was telling a white woman that, you know, you can't say black women have this experience and white women have this experience. And I disagree with that because you guys do have a different experience and that your voices need to be included as well as, in my personal opinion, because my boyfriend is black, I'm raising his black son, not my biological son, but he calls me mom. And what we need to do is center black female leadership because you guys are in the trenches and your elders have been experienced it and your children will experience it. And when we say fuck 12, what we're actually saying is fuck the power pyramid. That's what we're saying. So we're against politicians as well. I mean, I almost didn't vote because of how annoyed I am at the two choices that there are. But at the same time, you have to understand that our idea is not to overthrow the government and then just have anarchy. What we're saying is that there needs to be a redistribution. There shouldn't be trillions of dollars put into airplanes that never come off of the ground, but there are school districts in Mississippi that don't even get $1 million a year. That's what we're saying. That's
Can't
what's
argue with
important.
that. But at the same time, you know, I mean, you have to understand that what she's talking about is the values that she ran into going to school, being ostracized from doing well. And my son's experience with that, there's some serious issues.
Yes.
And there has to be some funding for families so they can, you know, there has to be an addressing of the fact that there's a serious problem between families.
I had my first kid in a group at 15 years old and he just turned 20 yesterday. I've gone from being a ward of the state in New York City and being homeless, living in a domestic violence shelter while I was pregnant with her, to starting, not owning, but starting up several successful small businesses and moving on. But at the same time, I do understand that if I had access and my peers, the black girls that were in the group homes with me, if they had access to better resources and we weren't constrained to having to drag our baby to a 40-hour school week and be in the nursery and things like that, and there were provisions as part of our society, then other black girls wouldn't have gone through that. I basically skated by and was successful in life because of my skin color. Because there were girls that were just as smart as me and had just as much promise as me that didn't make it out of their home.
So then you know what? That's a beautiful story of triumph over tragedy, not to sound cliche-ish. And with that, that's where you got to step in and be like, you know what, the system's not going to help us. So since I came from it and I succeeded, I'm going to help others on an individual level. You know what I'm saying?
My friend in Thailand right now is missing. She was found security cameras in her smoke detector.